Chapter 3 Red Fox, White Rose. Cyras stood still as the bigger hyena leaned her nose forward and sniffed her breath and muzzle. Lilu's not allowed to bring visitors, the pink hyena said after examining her. State your name.
Cyras. Cyras Summer.
Cyras Summer.
Yes,
Cyras said, staring up. Well, Cyras, she said, you should know who I am.
You must be Lily's mom, right?
Cyras asked. The hyena's eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly. My name is Jasmine. Cyras tilted her head, and Jasmine said, As in the Queen of Sandrun? Am I ringing any bells for you, or are you lost somewhere? The Queen grinned. However, this was no inviting grin, just an excuse to bear a scythe of fangs. Cyras pursed her lips, not knowing what to say. Jasmine snorted. Where are you from exactly? Cyras pawed the ground.
A different place.
I said exactly.
Just north of here, I guess. A few territories over.
Show me your feet. Cyras raised a front paw. Jasmine sniffed at them. Wild grass and worms. Just what I suspected. You're a wilder. Considering how Lilu and Almond tried to conceal that information, she understood already she was in trouble. The showering room opened as Lilu lurched out, only to encounter the two. Her eyes popped open while Jasmine stared at her. All parties froze. Jasmine said, You dragged a wilder into the palace. Cyras' ears flattened to her skull. They made her feel like she was some type of outcast when she wasn't doing anything wrong. Instead of jumping to Cyras' rescue, Lilu said, She knows nothing of our world. She needs somebody who's going to care for her and all of that. I like her, and showing her new foods and showing her new sights. She's actually really cute. She spent the night here. Jasmine glared and Cyras joined her. The fox said,
Excuse me? I'm not a pet.
Just because she's cute, you can't keep her, Jasmine said. Otherwise, I keep almonds and replace you. Cyras flinched at that response despite Lilu seeming unfazed. Since that was the harshest insult she ever heard. A mother not wanting their own young? Taking a few steps back, she tucked her tail. Lilu said, Mom, you're scaring her.
She's going to kick you out,
Cyras said as she went down the hallway. She didn't glance over. She said,
You should leave me. Family's forever.
Lilu walks past her mother. I'm going to the mall. Come on. Jasmine shook her head as Lilu told her, I won't be home for dinner tonight, or maybe tomorrow. You'll grow up one day, Lilu, the older hyena shouted as Lilu dragged Cyras away. And when you do, you'll realize how silly this all sounds later, and your dad will do the same thing, and the next one after that. Her voice melted to the background as Lilu headed for the door, and Cyras mimicked Lilu's stony silence. Along the way, they picked almonds from the ice cream shop, after several promises she would actually come home, and came into a big center of stores. Lilu explained the idea to Cyras as best she could, but failed to prepare Cyras for the spectacle. Shops within shops, with individuals walking with various foods or gear or gadgets. Cyras' nose went haywire as she tried to pick up all the scents within the place, while drool dribbled from her maw. Her nose sniffed the air, absorbing the smell of cheesy foods and salt and sugary beverages.
Maybe we should feed her,
Almond told Lilu. However, Cyras ran off towards a fountain full of water.
Cyras!
Lilu shouted.
No!
Cyras took a few drinks. Some rocks were in the fountain and she dove for them before popping up with shiny metals. Grinning at her treasures, she showed off some of these coppery pieces and told them,
Let's get food. I want food now.
Almond stuck her tongue out.
Fountain water? No one should drink that stuff.
Lilu rolled her eyes. How about we see what you like from the food court?
Food court?
Cyras' pupils dilated as she heard those words. That's when she saw how some would give small medals like she collected, and would get to walk away with foods.
You can obtain food just like that?
You have to pay, Lilu said. We'll get you a sample of everything. I'll fit the bill. Cyras stared blankly. I'll pay for everything. Cyras stared blankly.
Just eat what I bring you.
Cyras nodded hard enough to almost break her neck as Lilu went over to the food presenters. Almond sat at a stool, and Cyras jumped up beside her.
You know, there's another stool,
Almond said as Cyras settled and pointed to one next to her.
Like a little space, please? Okay.
Cyras jumped onto the top of the table, with some giving her odd looks.
Cyras, off the table.
Cyras got back on the floor. The coif crossed her arms.
Sit in the stool next to me. You told me to give you space when I sat there. No, not next to me on the same stool. Sit on the stool that is next to my stool.
Cyras raised an eyebrow as Almond had some weird fascination with where she sat.
You're more concerned with where my butt is than I am. Like, did you lose yours in a tragic accident? Almost. I angered Moser when I ran away.
Stop the bum talk and eat the celery stalks, Lilu said as she walked in with a bag of food in her mouth. She placed the bag before locking eyes with Cyras, who was still on the floor. The hyena pointed her head to one seat, and she followed the order. Almond puffed her cheeks. Cyras wagged her tail as Lilu revealed the contents of the bag. After an explanation about plastic and not to eat the actual containers, she ate pretzels with cheese, nachos with jalapenos, chicken strips, and fries.
How much space does she have in her?
Almond muttered to Lilu.
She's eaten everything we've given to her.
Lilu shrugged. Cyras kept eating regardless. These jalapeno peppers gave a spiciness to the cheese which didn't go unnoticed, mixing in for a fiery good taste with these corn-like chips, or the chicken strips, whose juices went well with something sweet like the small soda she had to drink.
Is this how the world ends? Almond asked, completely consumed by a singular fox.
As Cyras lapped her drink, Almond said,
Be politer. You should drink through the straw.
Meanwhile, Lilu giggled. Cyras stared at Lilu and felt mildly embarrassed. She must be doing something wrong. She must have been making a spectacle of herself with this weird, inane rule. Still, she used this plastic tube known as a straw, which didn't resemble dried grass that much, and drank through this instrument. Almond stared at her like she was a savage beast, and Lilu brought over a cup of brown liquid, so Almond stared at Lilu like a savage beast. The koi wolf seemed to have some protest, but Cyras figured she was just acting like herself, a wimp, and she drank. As Lilu's eyes glazed over, Cyras said through a mouthful of chips,
Lilu, are you thinking about what your mom said to you?
Huh?
Are you thinking about what your mom said to you?
Lilu exhaled and shook her head before saying, You're as solid as a brick. Yeah, this stuff blows over.
That was really mean of her to say those things.
Cyras told her.
If Rivo told me that, I would have felt horrible. And I understand if you do too.
She says that stuff all the time. That was just nothing. Almond reclined back, staring away from their talk. Cyras narrowed her eyes.
I may not know much about your rules and customs, but I know wrong. That was wrong. No one should ever say they don't want you as a child at all.
Lilu snapped, You really don't get this, do you? Cyras rolled back and hissed at her.
No, don't give me that attitude, Missy,
Lilu said.
You don't get anything. We say some stuff, and sometimes there's a warped meaning, and you won't understand us at all.
Cyras snorted and asked,
If this was nothing, you would not be this hurt.
Lilu said,
Just, both of you come with me.
We're going to Cart Capers. She hopped off the chair and left for another shop.